Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world of Pokemon. And now that Sword and Shield has been released, and all of the crazy news surrounding its launch has died down, we'll be jumping right back into the regular old news with Noki. Today, I did want to start out with a couple of things regarding Sword and Shield. First of all, regarding the fact that now we have absolute confirmation in these games that people do indeed eat Pokemon in the world of Pokemon. Now, of course, we've actually known this for quite some time. The Pokemon games and other media have definitely done a subtle job at letting us know that yes, indeed, these are a food source for humans in the Pokemon world. However, never before in a game have we ourselves eaten Pokemon, though now with the curry system that's been implemented into Sword and Shield, that is no longer the case. As there are a couple of dishes, including the sausage dish, the slowpoke tail dish, and the egg dish, that definitely all derive from the byproducts of Pokemon. And a fact that's even more interesting, and a little creepy, is the fact that there aren't even any slowpoke in the Galar region, hinting at the fact that they probably ate them all to extinction. But moving along, we have the overall game reviews that have been coming out for Sword and Shield, along with its general reception. Which, I mean, everybody's absolutely entitled to their own opinion of these games. In the grand scheme of things, it's your own experience that matters the most. As I always preach that we play video games in order to have fun, and if you're not having fun, why even play the video game? However, I would say the majority of reviews that have been coming out across most platforms are that this is an amazing Pokemon game. And I would say that the average score that I saw for these games was anywhere between a 7 and an 8.5 to a 9. Which in my honest opinion, I would say is absolutely fair. There were a couple of areas that I did find a little underwhelming. However, in the grand scheme of everything, I thought these games were executed perfectly. Especially when you consider this is really Game Freak's first attempt at a mainline core RPG on the Switch console. And there's so much more room for improvement and expansion for all the ideas that they're currently implementing. Up next in the news, we actually have a plethora of things to go over regarding Pokemon Go, starting with the Chimchar Community Day that happened yesterday. And although I didn't get a chance to go over this in my midweek discussion last week because of all of the insanity regarding Sword and Shield, I thoroughly hope that everyone went out and got those shinies. And next to a topic that I actually discussed previously, however we've pretty much got all but the actual confirmation of it, being the first 3 Galarian forms that will be in Pokemon Go. And not surprisingly, these will be Galarian Weezing, Zigzagoon, and Linoone. And personally, I'm assuming that more of these Galarian Pokemon will probably arrive around January or so, after they've figured everyone has uncovered most aspects of the games for themselves, and with the release and launch of Pokemon Home. And for the next couple of items of discussion, we actually have 2 brand new features that look to add so much content to this game. Firstly, for Niantic Wayfarer, which is now live for all level 40 players, and gives you the ability to submit locations for Pokestops. Meaning, if there is a location that you frequent often, you could actually submit to have it turned into a Pokestop, and thus killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Along with the fact that you'll now be able to rate and review pre-existing stops, further streamlining the entire process. And lastly, we have the Buddy Adventure, which has now been unveiled. A very cool new feature that will allow for 2 devices to simultaneously see the same AR object, which obviously will allow for a lot more interactive and immersive multiplayer experience for this game. And this feature goes above and beyond that by also allowing you to see other players interacting with their Pokemon in real time and even snapping photos together. And finally for Go, we have the exciting news that Niantic will now allow small businesses to pay and have sponsored Pokestops on the map. And the details are still coming in, but this is a pretty cool program that could allow for an avenue of marketing for these businesses and more locations for Go players to enjoy that some are probably already going to. And now on to Marvel! Deleted scenes from the Infinity Saga are showing how Captain Marvel was supposed to be introduced into the MCU in Avengers: Age of Ultron. And obviously, at least in my personal opinion, this would have been way too out of place considering there'd be no backstory whatsoever, especially when it was explained that they were going to bring her in essentially at the end of the movie to save the day. And in all honesty, with all of the negativity that already surrounded the way this character was handled, I could not imagine this of playing out well with the fans. Also, we have one spicy leak from Jeff Goldblum himself, who let it slip that Robert Downey Jr. would in fact be reprising his role as Iron Man in the upcoming animated series, What If? This is going to be a hypothetical series that surrounds different changes that could have been made throughout the MCU and how it would have played out, and is slated for their Disney Plus streaming service. And honestly, it would have been very disappointing if they hadn't brought him back to voice the iconic character. However, it is just nice to have confirmation that he will indeed be returning to the role that we all know and love him in. Moving along from one Disney property to another, we have Star Wars, where The Mandalorian is officially out. And although I have not had the time to watch it with all the craziness of Sword and Shield and trying to finish out the 3rd season of Stranger Things, with only a couple of episodes left to go, but I will say that I have seen this new series has been launched to raving reviews. And although I've avoided any and all story spoilers purposefully so that I can watch through it fresh, I have seen many visuals from the series and it looks amazing. I have been thinking about starting a once-a-week video series where I break down all these shows that I watch, what is happening on them, and my thoughts and theories about them. And if anybody who watches this would be interested, let me know in the comments down below. And rounding up the news for Star Wars, we have the launch of Jedi Fallen Order, which looks just as amazing as it did when it was announced and shown off in gameplay and trailers. And although it's not really something that I can afford nor really have time for right now, I have been considering acquiring a PS4 or maybe even the 5 when it comes out next year so that I can play all of these games that I have always loved and wanted to play. And finishing it up for the news today, we have the launch of the streaming service Disney Plus. And of course, since we are a family, lovers of Marvel and Star Wars and pretty much everything Disney has ever made or purchased along the way, we made sure to download it on release day. And I'm definitely not gonna lie, I was actually initially extremely blown away by the entire library that Disney has collected for this streaming service. Not only are there entire collections of many of the beloved series that I listed before, but there are also countless older and newer movies mixed in, many of which I have not seen in decades. And from what I've seen, the public reception of this streaming service has been a bit mixed. And honestly, it's a little bit hard to tell if this is just streaming fatigue overall, and if the general public is really just getting annoyed with another streaming service on top of another streaming service on top of another streaming service. Though personally, since my family has only subscribed to a couple of these services, we're not exactly bothered by the overall mess of it all. And truly, from my perspective, the Disney Plus service has a lot more pros than cons to it. As I said before, the library is extremely extensive and includes many things you wouldn't actually expect to be there. Although that did come with a little bit of a terrified realization of exactly how much Disney has purchased. And truly, the only real con that I could see is that it is going to be only limited to Disney-owned content. Therefore, if it is your only streaming service, you won't exactly have that much variety when it comes to where you're getting your content from. Either way, the basic package is only $7 a month, and you can actually try it out for free. So if you are indeed interested in what they have to offer, it doesn't really hurt to go on and download it and see. But that's going to wrap it up for all of the news that I found interesting this past week. I definitely look forward to diving back into more of the variety of different news outside of Sword and Shield. Though don't get me wrong, I have been having an absolute blast playing these games. And speaking of which, definitely check back in tonight at 8 p.m. Central Time for yet another live stream where my family will be max raid battling in the wild area. Along with that, in the coming days, I will finally have uploaded the first part of my Let's Play through the Galar region. If you enjoyed this content, please make sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to my channel, and make sure to share it along. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, this has been Professor Noki, signing out once again for the News with Noki on Noki Talks.